heard of a push poll, right? Well, it's used to get the answers you want by the way you frame the questions. An absurd new push poll from the Associated Press purports to find 57% of Americans think President Trump is a racist. That includes more than 8 out of 10 African Americans, nearly 3/4 of Hispanics, and nearly 50% of whites. Let's bring in someone who knows a little bit about media manipulation, former Republican presidential candidate Herman Cain, and radio talk show host Garland Nixon. Haven't seen both of you in way too long. All right, let's get to this. Garland, let's start with you.
Okay.
First of all, I think if the poll is true, it's highly depressing to me. Okay, so that's number one. But given the fact that the economy really is doing better, we have the lowest black unemployment in 17 years. Lots of good indicators, a slightly higher graduation rate from high school, which is good, but he's been in office for 13 months. People's wages will start going up, and we could bring these jobs back and so forth. You know, what's not to love?
Yeah, but that doesn't address the issue here at hand in this poll. Is Donald Trump a racist? And personally, I would say that term is far too restrictive for a guy who's exhibited the level of bigotry as Donald Trump. I think we have to use a broader term. I think bigotry works. Here's a guy, we all remember the insults to the handicap with the New York Times guy. He said that a Mexican judge was unable to dispense their duties simply because they
he
were
thought Mexican. It was a conflict. I know how it sounded. No. He thought I know it came out that way, but I've known him for 13 years. I don't tolerate racism, don't like racism, wouldn't be friends with someone who's a racist. So I actually know him. He's not a racist. I'm just telling you. Well, it's factually untrue to say he's a racist because I know him.
That's the only excuse you can say. I know him. And
well, I'm just because I actually have personal knowledge.
You know, I've looked into his soul or something like that.
No, I just
But
know
if you go by what he says, as the Tuna, the famous coach, said, you are what your record says you are.
Herman. Okay, you heard. Garland says, you know, he's a racist.
Bigot. Bigot.
Oh, bigot. It's not all-encompassing enough. Go ahead.
Now, Mr. Nixon, please don't try to talk over me, which is what liberals do. He is not a racist, and you and others are concluding that he's a racist based upon your speculation from some statements that were made. You have no evidence, no results that suggest that he's a racist. Secondly, I, like Laura, I know Mr. Trump. I can spot racism 3,000 miles away, and he doesn't have a racist bone in his body based upon my own personal experience. But in that particular study that you're referencing, every incident identified is based upon speculating that he must have been saying something racist, when in fact he was not saying anything racist.
Well, Republicans, it's 21% of Republicans think he's racist, according to this poll, which is shocking. Democrats, 85%, Herman. Do you believe that 21% of Republicans think Donald Trump is racist? I mean, I don't know who these Republicans are, but I don't know if they belong to the Republican Party. I mean, it's crazy. To me, it's crazy. He can disagree with his policies, that's fine, or say he shouldn't tweet as much, that's fine.
Exactly.
But
disagree with the policies, yes, but you can't disagree with the results. Here's why you have such a high number of Democrats believing that he's racist, and you have a few Republicans. They are being told this. The liberal media and many Democrats have been using this false racist narrative ever since this president became president, and even before. And as a result, many of them are simply repeating what they have been told. This president is not racist.
Garland, one of the things that I think has perhaps stalled the advancement of African Americans in this new study that we don't have time to get into, but it's Economic Institute report about wages and unemployment from 1968 to 2017, is that we have tolerated millions of people coming into America who take jobs that working poor, middle-class people coming into the workplace for the first time used to have. And a lot of those jobs are gone now. Those entry-level jobs hurt, like a lot of the people that I came from and a lot of minorities. And they're not there anymore.
So here's what I would say. The people
and Trump is standing against that.
I would say that most of the black people in the community would disagree with you for this reason, and that is Black people are not looking for jobs picking grapes. They're not looking for jobs working in hotels. They want to be lawyers and doctors and policemen.
Well, of course
the
they
same
do.
As everyone else.
I picked fruit, and I did paper routes, and I worked in restaurants.
Right.
And you never did those jobs? Those jobs taught me a lot.
But so Black Americans want the same jobs as everyone else. They're not. But the Black community is not blaming the guy at the bottom. They're blaming the people who make the decisions that guide our economy.
We're blaming globalists who want to keep wages low for Americans. I'm not blaming those. I'm blaming the people who want to keep the wages down.
My point is that if anyone who is convinced by someone who has more money than they do, that the people that have less money than they do are the problem, are being manipulated.
Herman, last word, real quick.
The manipulation is going on by liberals and Democrats. I see it every day. I hear it every day on my radio show. And by the way, Mr. Nixon, I'm part of the Black community. I'm a radio talk show host. I like that job. I never dreamed that I would be able to achieve that job. But you want to know how I got it? I worked hard at it. I got it the old-fashioned way, probably the way you got yours. So these blanket statements about people not making a lot of money being told something about somebody that makes a lot of money, those are irrelevant comparisons.
All right, guys, great segment.